Well, we are pleased to announce a quick arrest in the case of hate crimes that occurred here at the Jewish Community Center of Northern Virginia, as well as the Little River United Church of Christ, just about a mile away from here. This arrest also closes another case, another hate crime, one that occurred last month, and this was on the campus of the Northern Virginia Community College. Detectives collected video of at least one incident and were able to positively identify the suspect in this case. Our Fairfax County Police Criminal Intelligence Division detectives worked alongside the NBCC Police Department, and they have now closed 3 cases as of last night with this arrest. The suspect is 20-year-old Dylan Mahone of the 3500 block of King Arthur Road in Annandale. He was arrested at about 9 p.m. last night at his home and without incident. He's currently being held without bond. Mahone faces 8 felony charges. I'll read those for you now. 2 counts each of felony destruction of property, placing a swastika on religious property with the intent to intimidate, and wearing a mask in public to conceal one's identity. The Northern Virginia Community College Police also charged Mahone for a crime that occurred on their campus. This was on March 20th. They charged him with 1 count of felony destruction of property and 1 count of wearing a mask in public to conceal one's identity. In that case, on the campus, the suspect is accused of posting hate-filled posters on the campus. Evidence involving all 3 cases has been recovered. This includes clothing and the mask that the suspect wore, bags the suspect carried, and the spray paint that he used to vandalize. There could be additional charges filed in this case. As always, we will keep you updated on what those may be. At this point, I'd like to introduce Chief Ed Rossler to tell you more about this case and to compliment these detectives who worked so hard to bring this case to a close quickly. Chief?
Thank you, Julie. Good afternoon. As Chief of Police of Fairfax County, I am proud to be standing here with our community and faith leaders. Together, we are engaged, especially during the holidays, for both faiths involved here, to celebrate our great diversity in Fairfax County. And this horrific event is just something that we will not tolerate in Fairfax County or throughout our country. Just a few weeks ago, in this very room, we stood here united as an engaged community to send a clear message. We will not tolerate hate crime in Fairfax County. And this arrest proves that the men and women of the Fairfax County Police Department, especially our detectives, within 48 hours, with the help of our community, we arrested the offender for these horrific hate crime events. And we will not tolerate that. And this is an example of anyone in Fairfax County that commits hate crimes. We will arrest you. And the community supports its police department, and we work together to make Fairfax County the safest jurisdiction of its size in the United States of America. We celebrate our great diversity. This is a great place to live, work, play, grow old, to pray, and to be of a diverse community that works together to prevent and fight crime. And I'm so proud of our engagement with everyone in this community. Again, the message is clear. We shall not tolerate hate crime in Fairfax County. I'd now like to introduce the Executive Director of the Jewish Community Center, Mr. Jeff Danik. Jeff.
Thank you, Chief. Welcome to the J. I feel like deja vu a little bit, Chief. I just want to, first of all, thank the Fairfax County Police Department. They've been absolutely extraordinary from the first call on Tuesday morning all the way through to today. The men and women of that police force are second to none as far as I'm concerned, and we are very, very lucky to have them in our service. I'd also like to thank the police or the security force at Nova Community College, which has also been extremely helpful in this process. You know, this has been a dark few days for us, and as I've mentioned before, the fact that it happened on Passover is particularly hurtful to our community and during Holy Week as well. But in order for there to be light, there has to be darkness first. So what I'm looking at is the light, and the amount of outpouring of support that we have experienced from our friends, from our neighbors, from people of all faiths reaching out to us with calls, with gifts. The bond that I've developed with my colleague, who you'll hear from in a moment, Pastor David, this has been a very, very special time for us, as well as a very challenging time for us. Leonard Cohen, late Leonard Cohen, used to say, "There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in." And there certainly is a crack here for the light to shine through in our community. I'd like to thank Sharon Bulova for being here with us today, and the leadership of Fairfax County as well. And I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the Department of Homeland Security, which over the last several years has provided grant funding to the JCC to help us shore up our security measures. And it was the investment by the DHS in our security protocols and our security equipment here that was very helpful as this hate crime took place. So thanks all the way around, and I thank the press for the great work you've done in covering the situation. At this point, I'd like to acknowledge my friend and my brother, Pastor David Lindsay from the Little River United Church of Christ. David?
Grace and peace to you. On behalf of Little River United Church of Christ, I wish to offer our thanks to the extraordinary community around us in Fairfax County. These crimes involved hateful phrases born of white supremacy, but the overwhelming response of our neighbors has spoken volumes about God's love for all. I wish to offer particular thanks to the good people at the Jewish Community Center, especially Jeff Danick and Scott Brown, for their support and guidance during this difficult time. I also want to thank the Fairfax County Police Department and the media who have covered this with grace and with understanding. The FCPD has been hard at work behind the scenes since these crimes were discovered, and again, I just want to reiterate my thanks and the thanks of our congregation for their hard work. I have the honor of serving as the senior pastor of Little River United Church of Christ in Annandale, Virginia, just down the road. Our congregation was founded here in Fairfax County in 1955, and from the earliest days of our congregational life, we have committed ourselves to proclaiming God's radically inclusive love. This led us to push for racial integration beginning in the 1950s and 60s. That same spirit of inclusion has in recent years led us to advocate for the rights and freedoms of all people, from the LGBT community to immigrant communities to people of all faiths. Now, in the early days of our church, Fairfax County was a far less tolerant place, as it had been before that for centuries. Slavery was common practice here, starting in the 17th century. Some of my own ancestors lived here in the 18th century, and I confess that they were complicit with the racism of the time. The Civil War began right here in Fairfax County at Manassas, and what we now call the Confederate flag was actually created in Fairfax as the battle flag of Northern Virginia. Even 90 years after the end of the Civil War and 10 years after the end of World War II, Fairfax County was still a place of Jim Crow laws with segregated schools and open racism. We condemn what happened this past week, but we must also acknowledge that for most of the past 400 years, white supremacy has been the norm here in Fairfax County. With racism being the law of the land, our church's commitment to integration in the 50s made it hard for us to even buy a little land to build a sanctuary. And since that time, we have still sometimes been at odds with the county and with our neighbors over just how inclusive a place this community would be. The events of this week have sadly proven that even now, some of our neighbors are not with us. This week has, however, also shown just how much Fairfax County has grown and changed since our congregation was founded 62 years ago. People of all faiths and of no particular faith have reached out to the Jewish Community Center and Little River United Church of Christ to offer their support and assistance this week. Neighbors have literally rolled up their sleeves to clean windows for faith communities that are not even their own. Jews, Christians, and Muslims have been reminded this week that there are folks in this community who don't want us here. But we have also rejoiced as the sound of hate speech continues to be drowned out ever more fully here in Fairfax County by the joyous cries of our increasingly diverse community, cries that speak of this county and this country as a place where freedom of worship, freedom of speech, and love of neighbor will win the day. I am humbled and overcome by the love this community has shown us. Fairfax County has become a much more just and inclusive place since 1955, And I believe it will be an even more just and inclusive place by 2055. Our nation can get there as well. Today, I ask you, wherever you are, to commit yourself to helping the United States to more fully embody the values we proclaim, values of equality, freedom, and democracy, so that the people of this county, the people of this nation, and of every nation may know that this truly is the land of the free. Thank you all. I'm honored now to introduce Chairman of the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors, Sharon Bulova. Sharon.
Thank you so much, and I'm joined here today by a couple of folks who I'd like to recognize. First of all, Alex Robbins, who is here from Congressman Jerry Connolly's office, and Congressman Connolly has been a strong supporter of us and speaking out forcefully against crimes of hate, crimes and actions that upset the harmony within our community. And also Shirley Ginwright. Shirley Ginwright is the director or the chairman of our Communities of Trust in Fairfax County. And that is an organization that works every day to foster cooperation and trust between the community and law enforcement in our community. Today is a real demonstration of how quickly we respond as a community when something happens that disrupts the harmony that we work so hard to achieve. So I would like to congratulate again our Fairfax County Police Department, who just jumped on this case and was able to bring the individual who is being charged or is charged to our detention center. And to bring him to justice. And I would also like to congratulate law enforcement and the community at Northern Virginia Community College, because they too jumped on this case very, very quickly and were able to identify the individual who has been charged. It is not okay in our community, in Fairfax County and Northern Virginia, in the United States, for people to feel that they can speak and act through hate and hurt others. And again, this is a demonstration, I think, today of how quickly and how well we're able to come together to address actions that disrupt the harmony of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Shirley, did you want to? Okay. We can open up to questions at this point, although please keep in mind this is an active criminal investigation.
How did you make the connection between the Nova Community College incident and the two at the religious institution?
Once that incident occurred on the campus of NVCC on March 20th, their police department tied up with ours and began a joint investigation. From that moment on, they began working that case, and that obviously continued through last night, and they were able to capture video, as we mentioned, quite a bit of video in this case, and could pinpoint who that suspect was.
Do you refer to video at the community college?
I'm sorry?
Video at the community college that tied him to that?
We've got a plethora of video to go through in this case, but yes, there was video of the suspect at each location.
Julie, once reviewing the video from this location and the swiftness of the arrest, was this suspect known to law enforcement earlier, prior to this incident?
We'll just leave it that as that investigation began on March 20th, detectives were very quickly able to identify who the suspect was and work that case and be able to have enough evidence to move forward with the arrest last night.
Was the suspect masked at the college incident?
I believe he was, yes, and that's why in the charges that the college has, they've got that specific charge regarding wearing the mask. David?
Julie, do you think he acted alone? Are you confident you got the only one behind this?
At this point, we feel confident that he is the only suspect involved in both of these cases, or I should say all three of these cases. Yeah.
Do you think more charges could come against him?
That is a possibility, yes. More charges could be filed.
In other jurisdictions, perhaps? Are you talking to other jurisdictions?
As always, law enforcement is working very closely with all of its partners. Any other questions?
Charged with 8 felonies, what are the potential consequences upon conviction?
Each felony carries between 1 and 5 years in prison. Tom?
You say hate-related, but are they technically hate crimes? Do these fall under that umbrella of hate crime?
It's a bias-motivated or hate-motivated crime. Yep. Tom?
I'm curious to put this in perspective about what this is, because we often cover cases like this. Sometimes they are young people who are ignorant of the damage and the pain that they have caused. Sometimes, if you know what you're saying here, this is an adult who knows exactly what they're doing. Do you have any direction right now as to whether or not this individual is somehow working with or part of a larger hate network that is operating throughout Northern Virginia? And where are we right now as far as this issue in this region?
I would say that this is not a broader investigation, that this lies solely with this person whose drawings and words you all saw very clearly.
Do we have reason to believe, though, that he has been influenced, inspired by any white supremacist or neo-Nazi type organizations?
No.
Was it, you said it was somebody in the community who helped you catch him? I'm just curious what it was that led you to him.
I know that we used video. I don't know if there were specific...
Social media.
One of the tools that law enforcement will use, as you're probably well aware, is to scour social media and see what information is out there. This suspect's use of social media led us to him.
Is the suspect a student at Northern Virginia Community College?
I'm not aware of his status. There are some folks from NVCC here who are nodding their heads, yes.
Okay. Current or former?
He spent 1 semester at the college. All right, if the reporters and photogs could meet me outside, I've got some documents for you. Thanks so much. Appreciate it, everyone.